I'm Dezabara. I am a hormone and fertility expert, and I want to ask you a question. That question is, when you think about having your dream baby, you're building your dream family, how good would it feel to have healthy, thriving, resilient kids? And for you to know that you grew that baby yourself, you did it all by yourself. So I'm here today because I felt called to change someone's life. And I know for a fact someone is going to watch this, and someone's life forever will be changed from the thoughts and the perceptions and the mindset shift that you're about to experience. Do you want to know what my biggest flex in life is? Honestly, my biggest flex in life is my kids. My kids are physically and emotionally, which ties in physically, of course, they are so healthy and resilient. But that was no accident. That was no accident. And if you wouldn't mind me sharing my story for just a second, I want to show you how I went from being told that I was going to have to use IVF, and here's the pill for now and IVF for later. You're not going to be able to fall pregnant without IVF. And from that sort of like grim feeling like I just got given a death sentence because I was told I had PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, all the way to being able to say a bit of a stuff you to my endocrinologist all those years ago, be able to have not only my children healthily and naturally, but in my own timing and knowing exactly what I needed to do in the lead up to being able to fall pregnant, in the lead up, in the months beforehand, the preconception journey, to ensure that on the other side of that pregnancy, regardless of how hard it was, regardless of the fact that I was literally sick for 9 months straight, I had built up this insurance so that I knew that on the other side, I would have healthy, thriving kids, not sick kids, not kids with heart conditions, not kids with developmental issues, not, kids who were struggling or couldn't breathe, had respiratory issues, or, none of that. None of that. Because why? Because I planned it that way, because I understood through all of my years of experience and working with people and working with the human body and being such a hardcore nerd, I was able to figure out how to conceive from the moment of conception kids that would be thriving. Because let me ask you, when you're thinking about your family, when you're thinking about building your, that perfect family, tell me, please tell me, were you envisioning them to be sick? Were you envisioning having to go to the doctor all the time? Were you envisioning the hospital knowing your name because you used to go so frequently? I bet nobody signed up for that. Nobody asked for that. Nobody called that in. Nobody is thinking about building a family and actually wanting that as their reality. Nobody. But nobody is also thinking about what they need to do in order to prevent that, because it is preventable, before falling pregnant. Because all people are thinking is, oh, we've got good jobs and we're financially set up enough. Let's start trying now. And these days, that age is a lot higher than it used to be, right? Like, how many of you would have been ready to have a baby at like 25? Not many. Although I fell pregnant at 26. Actually, I fell pregnant at 25 and I had Billy at 26. But nobody really feels financially ready, especially not these days, right? So by the time that we're all trying to fall pregnant, we're like in our 30s, well and truly, sometimes in our 40s. And you just think, okay, falling pregnant, that's all I have to think about. I just have to think about the falling pregnant part. Now, most couples are experiencing some difficulty with that. It is normal. And it's interesting because it's common and not normal. It is common, very, very common, that you don't fall pregnant in the first try. That's very common. In fact, if someone falls pregnant on the first try, That's rare. And I'm not trying to like shove it in anybody's face, because there was like method in my madness, like was an actual calculated and understanding and expertise behind this. But when Gus and I tried the first time, we fell pregnant the first time. With Billy, it was an accident. So, and that's a whole story, a very cool story, actually. And it was kind of funny because Gus was like, "How are you surprised? Because actually, you planned this." So basically, I implemented my own protocols, and I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it was like really, really severe. Nothing I did would work. I was a nutritionist at the time and a personal trainer. So I implemented all of my own, like, this should work. And they say that this should work and this should make me healthy and blah, blah, blah. And until I really unlocked and learned about hormones, I basically had no chance. Like I couldn't sleep properly. I looked really fit. I looked really strong. I was eating really perfectly, all the things. But I had so many signs of stress in my body, so much hurry and worry and fight or flight. And I just could not switch my body off. I just couldn't do it. I would always say, like, I can't relax. I don't know how to relax. Like, how do you just sit on the couch and just like chill and switch off? I could never do that. And it was because my body was stuck in this state of inflammation and stress. When I implemented my own protocol after doing my own research well and above my qualifications, and just had this like dog with a bone, have to figure this out, I was able to go from that reality, even implementing all the things that should work, all the herbs, all the blah, 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 to then being able to, after 3 months, so I got a cycle, it was a bit late, then I got a cycle and it was right on time. And then I didn't get a cycle. And I was like, oh my God, after, like, if you have not had a cycle for a while and then you get your period, it's like, men will not understand this. They just will not understand this. But like, you're sitting on the toilet and you're so excited by blood and you're thinking like, what is being an adult sometimes, seriously? But you're sitting there going, yes, oh my God, yes. Why? Because all of that overwhelm and concern and worry and uncertainty and unpredictability goes away, because you start to bleed and you think, oh, yes, okay, now I'm on some kind of track. Now I know I'm in my menstrual phase. I had no idea what phase I was in before. Now that I've got this cue, now I'm like, okay, my hormones must have dropped enough for me to be in my menstrual phase. And it's something like really like beautiful about it. Anyway, so I got to that 3rd month and nothing. But actually, I was pregnant. And so that's why I say, like, I actually, if I think about it, I did time that. It took me a few months to heal. That is a perfect example of a preconception journey. I didn't know exactly that was what I was doing. I was just trying to heal my hormones like really, really well and protect my fertility. I didn't realize how much I was improving my fertility. And then I was met with couple after couple and woman after woman who had had such a similar journey to me. And for me, it was like, well, this is so obvious. You just do this. And people just didn't understand that. They didn't know that. They hadn't heard about that. They thought that's too easy. That can't be right. But I'm doing IVF, and this IVF, if this IVF can't work, well, nothing else is going to work. And here I am to tell you that is not the case, that it's been a lot easier than you thought all this time. And that's not to say you haven't tried things, because you have tried some stuff. You have. And you're a very successful person, and you understand how to implement things. Understand how to research things. You're not just like, throwing shit at a wall and hoping that something is going to stick. You've been researching, you've been calculating, you have been told that this thing should work, but it hasn't yet. Why hasn't it worked? Because you haven't had the right guidance and the right advice. You haven't had the right program, strategy, protocol that steps you through and removes roadblock by roadblock by roadblock by roadblock, and gives you not only everything that you need holistically, but does it in a way that takes out, extracts the overwhelm. Because we know it's the overwhelm that is the killer to all of our hormones because of the stress. So we need something that feels easy to implement. And that is what I have basically spent my whole career making sure that I'm able to give to people, is to like, how can I take this thing that I know that works, but how can I make it so simple, so straightforward, That there's no overwhelm in there. And so back to my flex, right? Yes, it is rare to have someone be able to fall pregnant when they want to. They're like, okay, I'm ready now. And then they just fall pregnant. That's rare, but that should not be rare. That is our innate blueprint. That is physically what our bodies were built to do. So the fact that we're living in a day and age where that's not happening is kind of wild if you really, really think about it. So I think it's really important that we understand that we don't want to fall pregnant. That's not what we want. We don't want to just fall pregnant. We want to fall pregnant with healthy, thriving children. We want to conceive thriving kids. And this here, that piece is going to be something you are going to see so much more about, not only from me, but in the mainstream, because I'm going to be pushing this message so hard. This is something that nobody is talking about. I have not seen anybody talk about this, and I've seen nobody create a program that actually encompasses all of this and really focuses on, yeah, sure, fall pregnant. That's good. That is the goal. But the true goal is being able to have that baby go to full term, have that pregnancy be as low risk as possible, have the birth that you want naturally, and then have a healthy actual human on the other side. That baby needs to be healthy. Otherwise, you think of what the outcome is going to be. If you know anybody who has any sick children, not only does that put pressure on the parents, but the parents' relationship, the whole family unit, and everything and everyone around them, all the planning, all the structure, all the stress, all the management of trying to organize life around a sick child, not to mention the emotional impact that has on the child themselves, knowing or feeling like they're a burden. There's so many levels and so many layers to it. So if we really at that reality versus having a healthy, thriving child, that's like, for example, we just went through the biggest, most hectic, stressful move due to water damage. This is the second time in my life now. So I don't know if I'm really good at picking it up or I'm extra sensitive to it because I've had and have CIRS, biotoxin illness or mold illness. Chronic inflammatory response syndrome is what CIRS stands for. And so I think I may be extra sensitive to it. I can like walk into a room. I am a human mold detector. I can smell mold from a mile away. I can smell must and mildew. Like I'm on it. I'm like a sniffer dog. But we just went through this insane, crazy, huge move. And my kids, while we all got sick, because, we were all in water damage, my kids bounced back so fast. And with all of the stress and with everything going on, I just look at my kids and I think, you are like little superhumans. And this is what I say. I often say, we're building super babies. I'm in the business not only of helping you fall pregnant, but helping you build a super baby. That is my expertise. That is where I really excel. Now I have a baby coming back right now. So I'm going to end this live stream. Otherwise, we're probably going to be interrupted. But I do invite you to have a little look at some of the programs that I've linked below so that you can see how you might be able to work with me. And I'd love to be able to share part 2 of this in another live. So I'll see you soon.